How do you start your show?
I don't
You
need
don't.
intro.
They just
I don't
walk
have
in.
intro, yeah.
They just walk in, eh?
Raw dog it.
Xin chào mọi người. Today, we're here with.
An Truong.
Don't know. He runs a big show now, but
Big show.
independent. The up and coming, top rising. What's it called?
Xin Viec.
Like, who did you identify as when you were like living in Hanoi? Were you pretty certain that you were gonna live in Vietnam? And then you like proud to be Vietnamese?
Oh, very proud to be Vietnamese. I guess from 0 to 18, like I I just grew up as a normal kid in Hanoi. Went through the public school system. I think it was when I got into high school, which was Hanoi Amsterdam High School, that I really became exposed to the idea of like studying abroad. Because that's the school that a lot of students get into and start having that ambition. So the school is known for just sending kids abroad. Yeah, so when I got into high school and saw that a lot of the friends or a lot of the people around me were applying for study abroad opportunities and going overseas, that's when I started thinking about um, where I want to go for college. And luckily, I got a scholarship in high school and was able to spend 1 year in the U.S. For high school and then college after. Yeah.
So I want to touch upon like, is it because I'm not born in Vietnam, right? So is it a common thing when you're in high school to be like, I want to like the U help, right? I want to go live abroad. Is it like a split, like a 50-50, or like most people like I want to go study abroad?
I think my worldview back then was a little bit more biased towards going abroad because that's the kind of people, the kind of group that I was around. So definitely in my circle, there was this tendency to um, go to college overseas after high school. But outside of that circle, I feel like it was predominantly like people that were still gonna take the college entrance exam and go to local universities. Yeah, but yeah, I think it all boils down to personal preference and the the family's financial situation and what you want to get out of your college education. Yeah.
So you went 1 year abroad first from high
For
school,
high school.
and then where did you end up studying in the States?
High school, 1 year of high school in New Mexico, and then college, I was in Rhode Island, the smallest state in the U.S.
How was that like transition from being 18 years old, completely Vietnamese, to just jumping into America?
It was, wow, I haven't really like sat down and reflected upon that experience. Honestly, looking back, like I didn't feel like the transition was that difficult.
Really?
Yeah, I've always been this kind of like open-minded and adventurous type of kid. Yeah, it wasn't that much of a shock.
Was there anything where you're like, okay, this is what not? I wasn't expecting this.
Yeah, I expected everything.
Sounds like you're very prepared.
It's more like the day-to-day stuff that was like, okay, this is a little bit different, but like overall, it
have an
wasn't
example?
like winter.
Just the cold? But it gets cold in Hanoi though.
Yeah, but
Like snow?
not
Y'all have snow out there?
in Hanoi.
No, East Coast.
East Coast. I mean, we were deep in snow, um, but winter is long in New England, and that was just like that seasonal shift was very very obvious, and it was just like months of winter and cold and that kind of vibe.
In Rhode Island, is it 4 seasons or is it?
Four
Four?
seasons,
All four.
yeah,
And
but
then
mostly
Hanoi.
winter.
Mostly winters. What do you mean by that?
Because the school year starts in September and ends in May, and I feel like between the moment you get to school, it's like 2 weeks of fall, which is nice, and then the rest until like April
For snow.
is like just cold and brutal.
You
Probably
feel like you fit in.
I fit in, but obviously in very specific communities or specific group of people. I think first year going into college, I was very, I guess, extroverted. I had a lot of energy that I wanted to spend outside. I wanted to meet new people and just like really get to know everyone and take all the classes, meet all the professors, and explore all the cities and whatever. But I think like slowly as I went through college, I found my group of people and I guess built like or carved out like a place for myself, just to be comfortable and just to be to like plan out what who I want to become in the future.
Who did you want to become at that time?
I wanted to, believe it or not, I wanted to become like just a really good like corporate like person, like someone who thrives in corporate settings. Because I think again, I was very much influenced by the people around me, and a lot of the friends that I made in college, they ended up going into investment banking, finance, consulting, just very corporate jobs.
How long did you work in the States for though?
I didn't work in the States at all.
Oh.
Yeah, I came back right after graduation.
Right after.
Yeah.
And then was how was your family's reaction?
Strangely, they didn't really have a reaction. I think they. I was very fortunate in that my parents were very respectful and they were just very respectful of my decisions because I think after a while, they figured out that it's his life. He knows what's best for him.
Right off the bat, from the
Right.
beginning.
Like I think 3 years into college, that's when um, they came to that realization. But everyone around me, like my relatives and like a lot of the friends that I had back then, they were all like, "What? Like you're not trying to stay in the U.S.?" Because I think that's what a lot of
Yeah,
people.
that's what.
Everyone's like, "Oh my God! Like it's such a waste. Like why are you wasting this opportunity?" But when I went to the U.S., I never really had that drive to be like, "Okay, I need to stay here and I need to like make a living in the U.S. Coming back is gonna be a failure." No, I didn't have that kind of thought. So
But did you get the I don't know, from people just hang or or like neighbors or relatives would be like, you know how much people would give up to have that opportunity and you're like giving it away like that?
Yeah, yeah. When I first came back, that's the initial reaction that a lot of them had. Um, yeah, but I mean, it's my own life. Like I guess like my way of arguing with them, or not arguing, but my way of proving is just to, you know, just do my best here and show through the process and the results. Yeah.
So then, what was the first corporate job in Vietnam?
I was at a bank. So I joined the finance industry. I started at a bank, and then after almost 2 years, I moved to an investment fund. And yeah, for the longest time, let's make this clear. I really value my time in finance, but it was just not for me. And for 4 years, I thought the solution to it was to move to a different investment fund or move to a different finance job, and then maybe I'll enjoy this side of finance, or maybe I'll enjoy like this investment fund more. But after 4 to 5 of those moves, I was like, yeah, maybe this is not. Maybe I should just stop trying, because it's been 4 years and I still haven't really felt like myself. I don't feel motivated waking up in the morning. I don't feel like I don't feel fulfilled. Um, so yeah, after 4 to 5 of those moves, this happened during COVID. I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna try to do something a little bit more creative, which I think I've always had in me. I just haven't really, um, I haven't, I just haven't been brave enough to bring it out.
Life hasn't given you enough pain to force you what you really want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like there must have been like a disconnect where it's like when you're like 18, I want to be corporate, and then you're like, oh, I did what I want, but it's not lining up.
Yeah, exactly.
So how was that like? How painful did it need to be for you? But like, I'm gonna do something completely left, right wing type of thing.
So surprisingly, when I made that switch to just being more creative and to a more creative job, it didn't feel like it felt right. It didn't feel like I am going out of my way and like am like uprooting my entire. I mean, I was uprooting my entire life, but it didn't feel like that because it was like a decision that I have kept in me for so long. Yeah, but the 4 years that I spent in finance was it. Looking back, it doesn't feel like a dark time, but I guess going through it at the moment, at that time, going through it was just painful. I've been thinking about it, but that day I woke up and I was just like, yeah, I can't take this anymore. So I opened my laptop and um, basically typed out like a resignation letter to my manager then. And right after that, I also called up my um, longtime friend. He went to college with me and he founded Vietcetera. I called him up and I was like, because we did talk about the possibility of me joining the company a few years back, but at that point I was I wanted to be very successful in corporates and just like build that career in finance.
Working at Vietcetera for how many years? And what were you doing? What was your main role?
I was at Vietcetera for 2 years, I think exactly 2 years. I started out as like a business manager. I mean, the title was a little bit questionable, mostly because I didn't feel like I was like a business manager. But I knew that I wanted to do something on my own. But when I left Vietcetera, I didn't really have like a clear idea of what that was yet. So I mostly wanted just to take a career break because I haven't had any in the last like 6 years. And as I turned 30, I was like, yeah, maybe it's a good time for me to take a break and just rest and use this time to, I guess, observe what is going on around me and draw inspiration from like just day to day materials and interactions and observations. So yeah, I took that leap of faith thinking that I was gonna come up with something during that time. And I eventually did, but it took longer than expected. So, how did Xin Viec come about? Oh, it's so goofy, it's so silly. Um, so, I genuinely, I was like thinking about looking for an assistant just to help me out with my, I guess, like my job now. Um, so, throughout that process, I was like, yo, like I'm playing the role of like a recruiter, and I, which I never had to in the past, and I am interviewing people, and like I'm asking these really like, yes, these are like very typical job interview questions, but it can reveal so much about the other person, and it can be very intimate. So I thought to myself, I was like, why don't I just turn this into like an interview format, um, and use the setting to, um, I guess, have conversations with people, and but then that format wasn't gonna be, I guess, special enough, and so I thought like maybe one more layer is that I something that I haven't showcased a lot about myself is that my personality is very much like informed by dry humor and comedy and it's just awkwardness and like that kind of like basically like a lot of self-deprecation kind of humor. um, so I thought to myself, okay, how do I infuse that personality into like an interview format? And yeah, I mean, I reference a lot of American and Western shows like Chicken Shop Date, Between Two Ferns. A lot of people would think of The Office when they watch my show, but to be completely honest with you guys, I haven't seen a single episode of The Office. I know what the show is, but it just happens that I want to do like a job interview style kind of format. So I I guess the resemblance is there.
How long have you been doing it now, Xin Viec?
It's only been 6 months. I started in March.
And how is it going?
It's going. No, it's doing way better than I expected. Mostly thanks to the people that I've been fortunate enough to have on the show. These are all very bright and talented, up and coming artists or profiles. And originally, I thought that this kind of humor and style was gonna be difficult to translate to the local audience, but surprisingly everyone, like, not, I don't know about everyone, but the people that watch the show, like the people who get it, and it seems like a lot of people get it, so I'm happy that a lot of people are tuning in. But I through this format um, I want to, I guess, create a space for artists to come on and show their personality more instead of just talking about music and their creative process and whatnot. Um, yeah, so I think in a way the show has been able to achieve that in a way. Yeah.
What's next for you now?
What's next for me? Definitely more formats, more more videos. Because now that I have my own YouTube channel, I have to invest in it as well. And Xin Viec is just one tiny part of the kind of content universe that I want to bring out. Um, so yeah, I'm in the process of coming up with new formats and tweaking the current formats here and there, and just trying out different things.
Final statement. Um, what would you want to say to that dark time that you went through? you back then you didn't say, but now you're reflecting back. You're like, oh, that was kind of rough, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like, what would you tell to that younger you?
Thank you. Like, thank you for, I guess, thank you for persevering through those 4 years. Um, to be honest with you guys, I wouldn't be where I am now without those 4 years. And as cliche as it sounds, it literally, like those 4 years were the basis of basically my creative career, if you think about it, because I worked in finance, and the first podcast that I did with Vietcetera was about finance. Because ironically, they think that, okay, like he probably knows a lot about finance, especially personal finance and money. Um, I mean, I dabbled in it when I was in finance just because it was like my worldview, but I know where I'm an expert in it and know where I'm comfortable talking about it in that kind of, or like delivering the content in the most like helpful way to the viewers as possible. I was just not comfortable with it, but they were like, "Yeah, but you're probably the best fit because you know the lingos, you know the people." So yeah, the finance career basically gave me that position as the host for that podcast, and it gave me the confidence and the experience to really think about starting something on my own. Yeah. So thank you to my finance corporate self. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Cheers. That's a wrap.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it, bro.